Welcome back, everyone. We have sort of a special match coming up, not so much because this match by itself is particularly amazing, but because it's the final singles match out of our Swiss round 2. That means that once this match is over, whatever the outcome, we will get to learn what the singles pairings are for the next round, which I think is super exciting. This match is JHobz versus Sloaters, 0-1. On commentary, my name is Grim, and I'm joined by Ozzy. Hey, dude.
Hey, Graham. I am looking forward to another exciting matchup when it comes to Ori Randomizer, because you never know what you're going to get, and that's the beauty of it. Every match is going to be different.
Yeah, so we'll start by quickly introducing Hobbs. Hobbs in round 1 lost to Shebti. And so I know he's been practicing a lot, not only for singles, but for doubles, where he is on team Ace Tims with Rebel Watt. And I think they actually won their match earlier today. So Hobbs is going to be kind of going for a 2-0 record on today in particular.
Yeah, riding on those good feelings, I'm sure. Sloaters, on the other hand, he's a bit more of a kind of like a tournament-only kind of player from what we've heard. He's coming first place in the multi-category tournament for Super Metroid, so he's more than capable of pulling out some impressive feats. And I'm looking forward to seeing what he's going to do tonight.
Yeah, I'll freely admit going into this commentary that I know Hobbs as a person and as a randomizer player better than Sloater. So of course, as with any seed, I'm interested to see what we find first. But Hobbs in particular, I know is someone who, as a general rule, likes to be a little bit more thorough, even in clues, even when he might arguably be, technically able to finish the game. So depending on how many skills we get early on, I'm curious to see when, if at any point, Hobbs completely stops checking anything.
Yeah, it's always up to the runner how comfortable they feel with this current skill set in order to finish the game. And I am hoping to see Bash. Let's go, Bash.
It's charge jump.
I'll take that too. That's a great first pickup.
See, I know why you were saying you wanted Bash. The reason is that how does a randomizer work, right? You have a number of pickups available at the start. Then as you get new items, you progressively open up more and more pickups. What that means in practice is that if you find Bash, it becomes statistically pretty likely that you're also going to find Grenade for Bash Grenade, which is a combination Hobbs hates. Also, yeah, Sloaters had to do some menuing there, so that's going to lose him some time right at the beginning.
And the second skill we find right underneath Sign is Dash. Wow, charge jump and dash. This is an amazing start.
It is. I also want to point out Sloaters on the right did take a quick death to the Rhino, pretty much entirely because he had to mess with his menu and it kind of screwed up his rhythm. Thankfully, that's one of the least impactful deaths that there is. And there's an enormous amount of seed left. But it's going to be a nice early advantage for Hobbs.
Yeah, I would not be surprised if we saw a big push to make sure that they get access to charge dash as soon as they can. Not only will that give them air dash, giving that little extra air maneuverability, but charge dash is one of the most powerful secondary abilities in this game.
Well, finding early charge jump is valuable for a lot of reasons, not least of which is that it can turn climb into a skill with potentially limited application to one that is much more valuable because it simulates stomp. Okay, we got wall jump, so that's good because it's wall interaction. It's potentially bad because climb might be less likely to show up now.
Yeah, but we're going to go ahead and get a fake flippers check. And it's a bunch of XP, which is really nice right now because that gives him the ability points he needs in order to skip the cutscene before going in the BRB.
It also just gave him a bunch of level ups. Hobbs, you saw, waited for just a moment there in order to break open a bunch of the plants using the level up explosion. Keeping fake flippers is, well, accessing fake flippers in general, I should say, is not in standard logic, but with Dash especially, it makes a lot more sense to keep it since you can so quickly get back to where you were before.
All right, go ahead and see Hobbs quickly go through this. When you have charge jump and wall jump, man, it makes BRB super nice.
It does. Sloaters, by the way, apart from having to mess with his resolution with the Rhino and taking a death, he actually died again, has to go back and get his wall jump a second time. He did fall down, but with charge jump, I believe he can get back up there, yeah. So that is, well, let's not mince words. Sloaters is off to a rough start.
Yeah, no doubt
died again, has to alt-R again and go get wall jump again. That's really rough.
Yeah, unfortunately, this might be a case of because he had those early problems with his resolution, and it might have set his nerves aflame. And heck, it happened to me in my first race. It can happen to anybody.
Yeah, JHobz, by the way, has been making pretty good progress through Blackroot. Did take one death, but had a safety save, so it didn't cost him too much. He got Charge Flame for his efforts, though. So keep that in mind. JHobz has the ability to break blue walls, and it's an ability that Sloaters will almost certainly get as well once he goes down to Blackroot.
All right, Sloaters, we can. You have some amazing skills. You can get through this early section, no problem.
Yeah, let's check out, sort of for the time being, paying attention to JHobz. Did fall. He's just going to wait for his orb.
He's gonna ride the platforms, dude.
That jump that JHobz tried to make is notoriously finicky. Thankfully, with Charge Jump, he sort of had the ability to save himself from potentially even more time loss. So yeah, JHobz is going to be heading over into the dash room. JHobz must have already checked the experience orb at the top. I didn't see him get it, but he must have.
He did.
So.
It was a map stone.
Okay.
Which,
cool.
at this point, when you have access to Charge Jump, does mean you can go stick that in over at the Mapstone pedestal in BRB. You have full access.
Well, kind of making some predictions for the very immediate future. Both runners still only have one keystone. With 2 keystones, they would have access to the wall jump area, and with 2 keystones and Sea Flame, they can immediately get to the Charge Flame tree and the wall jump tree, which will be 3 trees for a clue. So it wouldn't surprise me if one of the next few pickups was a keystone.
Yeah. Something here would not be surprised JHobz would decide to do, since he has so little energy. He has Charge Flame, and he's going to want to check a lot of different pickups, and gets extra double jump underneath the crushers right next to the dash tree. If we find double jump in the seed, that's going to be a very nice addition to his skill set.
Yeah, I want to point out something else. Meldon, who is currently restreaming, joked that Stomp would be on a mapstone, and it wasn't. But it brings up an interesting point. Whatever skills you get, you always have to start thinking about what other combinations of skills could these runners acquire to open up even more. And with Dash, Stomp is a strong possibility, because Dash and Stomp gets you access to Light Grenade.
And there's Climb! Oh my god! What is the seed?
Well, it's pretty solid. JHobz, with that Climb, he's definitely going to keep it. He has Charge Jump, so he could have opted to jump back up the platforms rather than alt-Ring and continue down into the boulder area. Instead, with his second keystone in tow, he's going to head to this left side. He has options to go to wall jump first or to Charge Flame first.
I don't entirely disagree with this. There's so many pickups that are going to be insanely fast to do now that he has all these skills, including Dash. And we find a Valley Teleporter. We have access to left side without Stomp. That's... wow.
Access to left side, but you need some additional skills in order to be able to do anything useful over there. The good news is that without Stomp, the Kuro kill plane in Valley isn't active, which is something that I'm hoping both JHobz and Sloaters keep in mind if and when it becomes applicable. Excuse me.
It's just a nice time save when you want to go over to Valley, even if you have Stomp. Just teleporting, skipping that entire section through the spider caves. Oh, that's so nice.
Well, JHobz, because of some of those early deaths and mistakes by Sloaters, along with having to do some frantic menuing, definitely is in the lead at the moment. Sloaters just made it to the dash tree, where JHobz already not only got there, but went back through the 2 keystone door and went... what am I trying to say? Went to the Charge Flame tree.
Yeah, it might have been a case, because it's such an awkward climb out, even with Charge Jump, that hitting Alt and R after he got Climb was just the smart thing to do, and it's like, I got enough keystones, let's just go left.
With Climb, Charge Jump, and Dash, JHobz and Sloaters will be getting, Climb, there it is. They could decide to use Climb, Charge Jump to break the barrier gating access to the Light Grenade area and get that tree out of the way early. However, there's a grenade pickup inside, so it's possible that they could choose not to go there because they'd have to skip the grenade pickup for the time being.
All right, and we're going to go ahead and see what is over by the boulder area in BRB. Sloaters is making his way.
This is something that JHobz didn't do, because after alt-Ring, after finding Climb at the ability cell in middle of Blackroot, he decided to go to wall jump instead. This is going to give access to a number of pickups. Sloaters can use Climb and Charge Jump to break the boulder. There's the health cell. He'll activate the teleporter for later, and he'll be able to activate his first...
Oh my goodness. The Sunstone is a mapstone.
Was that the first clue? I didn't see
That
it.
was the first clue. Sunstone is a mapstone.
That doesn't come up very frequently. I think its meaning is relatively clear, but just to reiterate for anyone who might have not kept up with the rando action, most pickups in the world are just replaced with something else. Map stones are a little bit different, though, or should I say the map pedestals that you activate. Map pedestals are progressive, such that the pickup you get at any particular altar is based on the total number you've activated rather than specifically which one you're at. So for the Sunstone to be on the map stone means that out of the 9 altars, Sunstone is at one of them. So suddenly, map stones, the resource, become a heck of a lot more valuable.
Yeah, and it could really, depending on which map stone it'll be, could really change how long the seed will take, despite how insane their early skill start is. And Sloaters is making his way over to the grenade tree.
This is a smart play. It's something I'm guessing that JHobz will do since he backtracked back in the black group to clear out the Raziel area. Raziel, also synonymous with this boulder area, killed his frog because with climb charged up, the frog is not important. So yeah, he's just gonna not altar, not go to the teleporter, go straight to the left. JHobz is still maintaining this lead. Through clean execution, he'll be covering all the ground that Sloaters has covered, while also having gone to charge flame and wall jump.
Yeah, but I do like this play overall from Sloaters because you have such a really good start to your skills. Just getting grenade tree out of the way is really, really nice. You never have to come back here.
Okay, look at this. This is kind of what I was talking about before. JHobz, as Sloaters did, went down into this Lost Grove area, which is home to the light grenade tree, but it's home to other stuff as well. JHobz made a save, died to the laser, but he's going to go check 2 pickups off to the right, and he actually won't, for the time being, be able to check the pickup to the left. But there's 1 pickup. He'll be able to get 1 more. If this is nothing, he'll probably take an intentional death. He's going to go back and try it again.
You know what they say, man. Those dumb tricks make even the most confident of runners really stubborn.
I guess they do say that. With dash, it's not going to be too bad to get through these, though. JHobz taking a moment to just take out that slime. This, as I said, is the thoroughness that we were describing, and that keystone from JHobz is technically not in logic right now because it required a damage boost to get there. But a keystone is a keystone, and as we've seen from some very recent matches, keystones can be very problematic.
Oh, and here's a very interesting thing if he actually is going to try to do this. You normally need grenade to get over to this. Oh my god, he did it. What a madman.
That trick, as you said, you're supposed to get grenade, but you can get over it with charge jump and double jump. I forgot that you could do it with charge jump and air dash, but thankfully JHobz didn't. Not energy cell. I think it was an energy cell.
It was an energy cell, which is his 4th energy cell. That is something worth pointing out.
It is because it opens up a 4 energy door getting access to the Death Gauntlet, which is traversable with wall jump. Not only is it traversable, but it's... Oh, yeah, it's 5 energy. Excuse me. Kind of difficult to see on our restream, but it is 5, which is more than 4, and more importantly, it's enough to get to the Death Gauntlet.
Yeah, it just goes to show how impressive that trick was by JHobz when the creator of the randomizer didn't even know you could do that.
There's no end to the obscure things that are possible in Ori and the Blind Forest. So we're going to have near simultaneous skill trees, although of course different ones. Sloaters got through Glades to activate the wall jump tree, something that JHobz did a little bit earlier in the seed, whereas JHobz got another keystone from the light grenade tree. Getting these early keystones is, I think, more valuable, as I said, than might be immediately apparent, especially in a seed like this one, which is potentially a jet seed, meaning that it's potentially very, very fast.
Yeah. And right now, Sloaters is opening up the door that leads into Death Gauntlet, is going to make his way through, and ouch.
That's the hard part. When you have exactly 4 energy, you can open this door, but you can't make a save because you just expended all of your energy. So the options are to open the door and not make a save, or to open the door, backtrack to the Spirit Well to refill everything, and then try again.
And JHobz takes a death there too. Both players making their way through Death Gauntlet, and Sloaters is the first to successfully survive the initial pool of poison.
Yeah, Hobbs is trying to position himself correctly to keep this frog alive so that the frog can break this stompable floor for him because our runners don't have actual stomp. Sloaters just checked the underwater pickup. It's only an ability cell, but of course Hobbs doesn't know that. Nice dash under the Frankie to keep it alive that time with an immediate save, such that if he messes up and dies, the Frankie
No,
will
Sloaters
still be alive.
slipping off that, I'm not sure you would call it post? Hanging post? Falling into the water. Yeah, wooden platform.
It's actually fascinating. Making an early play into Death Gauntlet is not too uncommon. It can be reached, of course, either from the right side, from Moon Grotto, or from the left if you have 4 energy, or if you're a madman, you can do a Frankie Walk with 2 energy. What's less common is being able to almost full clear it. They didn't fully full clear it because there's an underwater 4 energy pickup, which currently neither runner's going to check because they don't have clean water. But that's a lot of pickups out of the way.
Yeah, and it immediately takes them to an extremely pickup dense location to quickly knock out of the way. Pretty much all of Grotto is open to one of these skills.
Yeah, Hobbs, I'm fairly certain, yeah, just verified. He, I lost my train of thought for a moment, sorry. He leveled up the ability to get half price charge flames. So his charge flames only cost half an energy now rather than a full energy, which is valuable for fairly obvious reasons. It preserves more energy for other things, and it's going to allow Hobbs to check a lot more things along the grotto path.
And we're seeing a little bit of high fives action going on here. Both players checking Glide Vault, both finding a map stone. Obviously, a very valuable find when you know Sunstone is hiding in one of these pedestals.
We've gotten a lot of ability cells so far as well. It's only under 15 minutes into the seed, and Hobbs already is, like, I think, past or at least equal to Charge Dash.
Yeah, it's really nice to know that you got all these ability points so you can start getting towards those amazing skills when you have Dash. And later on, you know, if you end up finding that double jump, you can get quad jump since we both know they picked up that extra double jump.
That's right. Sloaters was the first runner to activate his 3rd mapstone. Reminder that the Sunstone is on one of the 9 mapstones. It's not on 3. Sloaters knows that. Hobbs is going to figure it out momentarily. As I said, getting a clue that a dungeon key is on a mapstone is relatively rare. And it's even rarer for anything valuable in any seed to be past mapstone maybe 5 or 6. There are 9, so it's possible we'll have to go into Horu, although very unlikely.
Well, no, we can't go into Horu because we need the Sunstone to go to Horu.
Oh, you're right. That's a very important point. Thank you, Ozzy. It could be 8.
Yeah, that's the limit on that. Thank God.
Okay, check this out, by the way. Hobbs on the left just found an explosion power-up, which does more than just make the charge flames more powerful. It also reduces their cost by 1/2 energy in combination with charge flame efficiency, I think it's called. Whatever it is, the point is that Hobbs now has free charge flames.
Yeah. Getting the kill on the Grotto mini-boss, and is going to check what this is normally a keystone, and hopefully it is something good, well worth his time. It is an energy cell. I wouldn't say no to that, considering he was only at 4.
It's a good pickup. Hobbs is getting some additional map stones, which they're potentially valuable in every seed. In this seed, we know that they're valuable. I guess now might also be a good time to point out that as far as the 8 map stones where the Sunstone could be located, 5 of them are on the right side of the map and 3 are on the left. So if it's not in the first 5, we might have to make a trip down to the Forlorn Path. I guess it's not too productive to speculate too wildly until we've checked a few more.
Yeah, unfortunately, it would be a little awkward since they don't have Bash. I think there is some alternative methods they could to get to that pedestal.
Well, and this is another good point. Our truck is just on point today. Meldon pointed out that because Hobbs just activated map 3, because he has 4 more keystones, or map stones, excuse me, he's almost in, if you want to call it, map go mode. As we said, Sunstone could potentially be up to mapstone 8, and Hobbs has enough map stones to activate altars up through 7 currently. So if he finds 1 more, then he's set on his map stones, unless, God forbid, the water vein is on 9. It's possible. It's possible.
Well, God, if both mandatory keys, dungeon keys, are blocked like that, that's horrible. Why would you even think that?
Well, I don't have to play the seed. I can think anything I want. It is interesting to me, not surprising, but interesting, that Sloaters and Hobbs are being so thorough in Moon Grotto, like equally thorough. Sloaters is a little bit ahead of Hobbs in Moon Grotto specifically, but Sloaters sort of gained that lead by not going to Charge Flame, which Hobbs has already reached.
Oh wow, we just found Grenade in Sloater's screen. It's right next to Double Jump Tree.
Grenade is very valuable because it lets you break blue plants and blue walls for no energy cost. Of course, Hobbs currently has free charge flames anyway, but grenades are nice anyway. And there are many pickups in the world that are explicitly locked behind grenade.
And we're
So
going to
getting that
see
grenade
one of
pickup's
those
valuable.
checks right now. It is an energy cell.
Getting a lot of early health and energy is quite valuable. I mean, we've seen a number of seeds in this tournament where runners are either starved for energy and they take a lot of unfortunate deaths as a result, or they're starved for health and have a lot of trouble in the final escape. Hopefully neither happens.
Yeah. It's always, at the very least, if these players are confident in their ability, with 5 health, it is possible to finish escape.
With Stomp and Bash, it is.
Yeah. Right
with,
now...
With a particular combination of skills and 5 health is possible.
Yeah. So we're going to see some more pickups here before we even think about wanting to do escape.
Well, speaking of Mapstone, Sloaters just activated, I think that was number 4 for him. Still no Sunstone, so there's one more Mapstone on the right side of the map, which is in Swamp, an area we'll likely be going to before too long with both Charge Jump and Climb. It's very easily accessible. But yeah, Sloaters is clearing out the iceless area over on the right side, whereas Hobbs is going underwater. He barely survived it, only got some experience for his trouble, but what the heck, now he knows.
Yeah, and we're going to be seeing, looks like a brief look into what is over at the entrance of Haru Fields.
Now, what I want to see here is Sloaters going to use Climb Charge Jump to break this. He is.
Nice. Good knowledge of this game.
Yeah, it can be easy to fall into muscle memory. We are seeing some different checks. As I said, Sloaters is an iceless. Hobbs took a death, but it's not going to be too costly. Hobbs is going to kind of go up towards Swamp and check a few of these things. I don't recall whether Sloaters came to these specific pickups that Hobbs is reaching right now.
I will say this, though. Of all the clues they could have gotten for a Mapstone seed, I appreciate they learned it as early as they possibly could, because this means they're going to prioritize just depositing those Mapstones in as soon as they are able to.
Well, there's just a number of potential problems. As I said, the Sunstone might be on like map 5, and then all of our speculation is pointless. But if it's not, Hobbs currently has 4 extra Mapstones in his possession, and Sloaters only has 2, which means that because Hobbs is still 1 map alter down from Sloaters, he will be able to check 1 more. That's, I think, how math works.
Yeah, and I believe we're going to be seeing our next clue here very shortly. Because JHobz is making it.
Yep.
Yeah, he is heading over to Stomp Tree.
Hobbs is also going to pull a trick that allows you to, it's sort of an abuse of a bug, where you can maintain your charge jump state to break that floor. Hobbs continuing his trend of being very, very thorough. Well, he actually can't go underwater because he has poison water.
Realizing that, he just lets himself die and get his health back.
Sure. Sloaters, meanwhile, is sort of heading towards Swamp in his own right, but through a different path. Hobbs took the bottom path because he was able to clear the drain using Charge Flame and then Charge Jump into this area. Sloaters is going to go through the usual routes, which also has a number of pickups in it. So if any of these are valuable, basically what I'm saying is keep your eyes on the right side of the screen for the time being.
Oh, that's not exactly the most valuable thing you want to see right now. That was the Gumon Seal.
Gumon Seal may or may not matter. It usually doesn't matter until it does. In combination with the Forlorn Teleporter, it can be a rather strong hint that Forlorn Ruins might be a good place to go. Also, there's a map altar very near the Forlorn Teleporter.
All right. I looked away for the briefest second. I did not see what the next clue was. Did you?
No, but then I'm terrible at watching clues, so that's okay. We'll see it again before too long. All that matters is that the runners saw the clue, well, specifically Sloaters.
Right.
Well, actually, Sloaters wouldn't have gotten... Never mind. I was misspeaking. Hobbs has the clue. We didn't see what it was, but Hobbs has it, so that's okay. What do you think the next important skill is going to be, Ozzy?
I think the next important skill is probably going to be glide if they can find it. Glide, because right now, if they were to attempt to go to charge jump tree with this amount of health, would be impossible.
It would be very, very challenging. Yeah. By the way, and thank you to Chats for pointing this out, Water Vein is in Glades. Without Grenade, that could be a big problem. With Grenade, it's much less of a problem, but Glades includes such pickups as the Glazer. So we kind of use this phrase a lot because it's always true. JHobz, as always, has choices. He can continue clearing pickups in general, or he can head towards Glades and try searching for the Water Vein early.
Is there anything with this combination of skills that Glades could block them? I mean, they have Grenade.
No.
They could potentially just damage boost through the water.
They will be able to reach everything. Reaching the Grenade pickup above the Glazer is not in logic right now. There's also the long swim, kind of near fake flippers. Nice grenade jump by JHobz, by the way, flying way over, but not quite far enough. That's fine, he skipped the cutscene. To finish my thoughts, the long swim in Glades could be problematic with this much health.
And we're seeing Sloaters go ahead, clearing out the area around Stomp Tree, and is going to get that extra clue.
He's not, because he hasn't been to Charge Flame.
Ah, right.
Yeah, JHobz on the left. We didn't talk about this explicitly, but the other thing that finding Grenade does when you also have Climb and Charge Jump, it unlocks Grenade Jumps, which is something JHobz is going for. This trick is technically subjective, but pretty objectively more difficult on controller. Without some binds that make it quite a bit easier. JHobz is trying to do this grenade jump to get up there. It is a one-frame trick, having a lot of issues with it.
Yeah, and no, he's still going to keep going for it, and we're going to be seeing some Glade checks here. There's fake flippers.
Now, Sloaters doesn't have the Water Vein clue, to be clear. That was just a check in its own right, not because it was aiming for the Water Vein.
Yeah. I find it very interesting to decide to check that without that knowledge. Maybe it was just,
Fake flippers is something that you check in almost every single seed. Sloaters either didn't have enough health the first time he went there, or just wasn't comfortable. So with a lot of health, it's a quick one to check, especially because it's a very viable candidate for save scumming.
All right. And now he gets his charge flame tree, gets his hint that Water Vein is in Glades, and I would not be surprised if both runners decide take this opportunity while they're here to start looking around.
To check in with JHobz, it's kind of what we talked about. JHobz tried to go for the swim and wasn't able to do it, but they've been so fed as far as ability cells. JHobz is able to unlock Ultra Defense and get here easily. Energy cell for his efforts, and he's going to die because he figures he has plenty of energy, and he is correct. It does look like JHobz is searching for the Water Vein.
Yep, and he is, because he doesn't have Bash right now, he is going to have to go through Spirit Caves. Which I believe Spirit Caves is part of Glades. Did he not?
Yes. Spirit Caverns is. There's the Water Vein. Now, JHobz is a thorough player, and in this particular seed, it makes a lot of sense to check the Spirit Caverns. Anyway, it's very, very quick with Charge Jump and Wall Jump and all these nice things. By the way, I want to take this opportunity to point out another minor bit of tech that JHobz has been going for, which is known as a pre-charged wall jump. On controller, you can charge up a charge jump in mid-air, and then when you land on a wall with Climb, you can effectively just aim and release it almost immediately. It's one of the very, very rare advantages that I think controller has.
Yeah, and going back to earlier where we found Water Vein, it's kind of weird. The Spirit Caverns is like one of those usual first areas you just check because it's been known to hide some very nice items in the past. To see it put off for this long with this kind of seed, it's rather surprising.
Well, it's a dense area. It's also an area that's kind of far away. It's far away from Grotto. It's far away from Blackroots, and it costs 2 keystones. Having 2 keystones is usually not a it's usually a very reasonable price to pay for the number of pickups you get, but in some seeds, it's not. As I said, keystones can be a big problem. Thankfully, not going to be the case for JHobz. He has, I think, 5 of them right now as he heads into the Ginso tree.
Yeah. So we're probably just going to see him pick up most of the stuff in here because, again, he doesn't have Glide, he doesn't have Bash, he doesn't have Stomp.
Not only will we likely see Hobbs check everything, but I'd be rather surprised if he didn't continue past the Bash tree as well, not only for item density, but for his particular playstyle. Meanwhile, though, we have, we're covering new ground on either side. Hobbs is going to head through the Ginso tree. Sloaters is in Valley entrance trying to check the 3 pickups here. It's possible that one of them is Bash. Hobbs, though, just found Glide in the Ginso tree.
That's gonna make everything in Sorrow a million times more easy to do, especially with the amount of health they have. I would not be surprised if Hobbs decides, you know what, this is good enough for me. I'll make this work, especially if he finds Sorrow Teleporter.
You say you wouldn't be surprised. I would, and I say that not from a logic perspective, but from a JHobz perspective. He is a very thorough player. He's someone who, by his own admission, enjoys the clues mode of the randomizer more than shards, largely because it entails usually a lot more exploration. The other thing is that Ginso is a dense area, but it's actually denser in the top than it is in the bottom. Like from the entrance of the Ginso tree all the way up to Bash, there's only like, I want to say 6 pickups or something. It's not that many.
It's 7 pickups from what I recall that before the Bash tree.
Well, anyway, Hobbs is moving fast, having some trouble with this redirect room, trying to use Charge Flame to redirect the projectile. That one, I believe, looks good. Yep, nicely done. Sloaters is going to Spirit Caverns, which is, as with Hobbs, a very logical place to check. Sloaters will be getting his Water Vein in just a moment. There it is.
He's got his Water Vein. He feels a lot better now that he has it.
He does. There's Bash for Hobbs, by the way, too. So that is one of the most valuable, probably the most valuable pickup we could get right now, apart from arguably double jump. But you can complete the seed much more easily without double jump than you can without Bash. Hobbs has everything at his disposal now. Will he choose to continue in the Ginso tree?
Yep. Will he leave now, or will he continue upwards? He does have the Valley Teleporter, so that might play into this, and it is the case. He is going to go use that Valley Teleporter.
I don't recall whether these guys got the Sorrow Teleporter. I don't think they did. No, just the Valley Teleporter.
Just Valley.
Well, this is valuable, though. This is something I alluded to earlier. Hobbs doesn't have Stomp, which means that the Kuro kill plane, this area that prevents you from going left, is not active. That means that Hobbs, using Bash and a Rocket Jump, can go grab this frog and Rocket Jump straight up to the top rather than having to take the long way around, which is going to save him some time. It's the sort of thing where if Sloaters happens to find Stomp, he will arguably be worse off for finding it.
Oh, and Sloaters took a really nasty death. He had to go back and retread all through Spirit Caverns again.
Check this out, by the way. Hobbs is, I think, going for a Sorrow Bash before breaking Feather. I think that's what he's doing, and there are reasons for making this play. I guess maybe we can discuss with Hobbs after the fact, if he decides to interview with us, why he's making this particular choice. One way or another, he has to break the rocks and go into Sorrow. He's just doing it in this order.
It might be a case that because he doesn't want to have to do another Rocket Jump to get back up anyways, and the fact that he has, Valley Teleporter, so he doesn't have to worry about coming back to this later in such a slow way.
Yeah, this is interesting, by the way. Sloaters, despite already finding the Water Vein, is still being extremely thorough, rechecking not only the Glazer, but checking this grenade pickup up top, which is technically out of logic because the water is still poison and Sloaters doesn't have Bash at the moment.
And we're seeing some key duping on JHobz side. Probably one of the easiest key duplications to learn how to do in this game, and he is going to go ahead. And I think that is the last key door he has to open, so he is good for keys. Yeah,
this is where, for anyone less familiar with the game, we have these skill trackers underneath each screen to help people track along with the action. The lit up trees on the outside indicate the trees that the runners have visited, so if you look at all of those, Hobbs has now visited all of them except for Feather and the Climb Tree in Misty Woods, and it won't take Hobbs very long to get to either one. He has to just dip right back down out of Sorrow, and break open the rocks to get Feather, and then beeline left to Misty Woods, and I think he'll be effectively on his way to the end.
Yeah, but I'm probably the biggest reason why he decided not to simply just alt-nar back and warp is he wants to check this mapstone pedestal. He needs to find sunstone still.
That's smart. I'm gonna be honest. I forgot about mapstones until just this moment. That's why it's a good thing I'm not running and Hobbs is. That is mapstone number 5 for Hobbs out of 8 where the sunstone could possibly be. Yeah. Now, this is interesting too. As we said, there are 5 map altars on the right side of the map. Since Hobbs has activated only 5 in total, one of them being in Sorrow, that means that he skipped one of them on the right side of the map. I can say from experience, and I think you'll agree with me, Ozzy, it can be very difficult sometimes to remember which altars you've activated and which ones you haven't, but that might matter for Hobbs.
Yeah, sometimes you can kind of narrow it down to like, well, I haven't been on left side, so I haven't, like, all the map pedestals on left side of the map are basically untouched. But in a seed like this, you might be a little bit more self-conscious about it, potentially.
You might be. I'm hoping Hobbs is tracking the one he hasn't activated, but there are others he hasn't activated, such as this one here. Hobbs is effectively skipping all pickups. He's checking map altars because he has to. So he has to bait a Baneling not once but twice to break 2 different barricades, gaining access to this particular mapstone, and then he'll dip back up. Hopefully this is the Sunstone, so Hobbs can just finish out the seed.
But if not, this means we need to... It is not! Oh,
now that's still okay. That's still okay. Hobbs has the Hollow Grove teleporter to activate. He's actually going to altar rather than heading into Misty, which I think is a fair play. To climb back out of there is probably not going to be much faster, if faster at all, than teleporting back to Valley. So Hobbs has more map altars to check. He also has to go to Misty, so he's just going to arbitrarily do Misty first and then continue checking more maps. To check in with Sloaters, Sloaters is about halfway up the first part of the Ginso tree. Did pick up Glide. Will be getting his Bash pickup pretty shortly since it's one of these, I think it's that top keystone just to the right of where Sloaters is right now.
Yep, that'd be the one.
Yep, there's Bash, so he'll be happy to see it. Sloaters definitely quite far behind Hobbs at the moment.
But we probably, after seeing that and him getting to the Bash tree, we're probably going to be seeing a very similar play to what Hobbs did earlier. Just going, outlawing, going over to Valley Teleporter, start cleaning up trees.
Well, it's multiple things, though. In most seeds, because a dungeon key being on a mapstone is rare, most seeds are gated by skills and are gated by finding dungeon keys. But in this seed, the map altars are at predefined locations, and we already know that it's 7 or higher, which means that there's a hard, effectively, limit as to how fast these runners can finish the rest of the seed. They just have no choice but to revisit all of these locations that store map altars.
And JHobz getting his 10th and final tree, but we still need to put that, find that sunstone. It's gotta be...
Let's analyze for a minute. Sloaters is, whereas Hobbs went straight up, Sloaters, excuse me, maybe forgot that the kill plane isn't active with Stomp, so he's going to be going around. But Hobbs on the left, I think, is doing something very interesting. He has to check more maps, and the answer is which order does he do them in. It looks like Hobbs did correctly remember that he hasn't activated the Hollow Grove altar, so that's where he's going to go first for mapstone number 7. If it's not this, he's going to probably have to use that Gumon seal.
It's going to Gumon seal time, baby!
It's a very rare seed where the Gumon seal matters, much less going through the front door of Forlorn Ruins matters, because I don't believe we found the Forlorn teleporter. So Hobbs is going to have no choice but to take that Forlorn path, continue where he did before, all the way into Forlorn Ruins. That's amazing. This is very rare to see.
Yeah, wait, Hobbs, where are you going?
Hobbs might just be, maybe he forgot that he doesn't have the Sunstone. Or maybe he's just going out of his way to... No, I think he must have forgotten that he does Sunstone.
Yeah, he thought, oh, it's got to be this, right? Was he not looking at the screen?
There's a few things. I mean, playing a seed, as you know, it's very easy to forget about certain things. Most seeds are gated by skills and trees. So when you have appropriate skills and then you have appropriate trees, it's very easy to think you're in go mode. Hobbs, of course, just realized he can't get in here, so it could have been a few things. 1, Hobbs just forgot he didn't have the Sunstone. 2, he thought, I need one more map, I'll go get the one in Mount Horror, without, of course, internalizing that he can't reach the one in Mount Horu.
It was either that or he was so sure that Mapstone had to be Sunstone, and he was, his brain thought, okay, I got it, I got my Sunstone, let's just move on.
That seems very unlikely. I think it's one of the first two. I guess we can talk with him after the fact. JHobz is currently teleporting back to Valley of the Wind. He will be heading straight down to Forlorn Ruins.
But I see what he was trying to do there originally, because leaving that Mapstone last, and if that had been Stunstone, he would have been right there. He wouldn't have nearly as much travel time, but he's got to go to Forlorn.
Yeah, there are a lot of differing routing plays that are a little bit more unique than you'd see in a common randomizer seed when Mapstones are in play. I hope we get the opportunity to talk to both Sloaters and JHobz after the fact. JHobz, though, over on the left, heading down to Forlorn Ruins with Dash and with Bash and all these abilities, it isn't going to take him very long. JHobz went to the left because he's trying to stomp that door that you're supposed to use a lever to open. It's a funny set of circumstances, right? It's rare to come down here. It's even rarer to come down here when you don't have stomp, so the muscle memory just takes over.
Yeah, you don't even come here in all skills, so this is an area nobody wants to go to because it's very unpracticed.
Sorry to interrupt you. JHobz is still checking pickups. Maybe he's confident enough in his play, or maybe he's really hoping for something like double jump.
I mean, it'd be a nice pickup for sure if you can find it, but this is JHobz's call to make. And he's gonna go ahead and try to do another grenade jump. Having a little bit of trouble.
JHobz is trying to jump over a slow zone, which of course now has lost in time, but it wouldn't have lost time if he'd gotten it. At this point, this is almost like a matter of pride, going for this grenade jump over and over again. Sloaters, meanwhile, on the right, had a little bit of trouble breaking the barricade, but is now through, floating over to the left. So Sloaters will be getting the charge jump tree pretty shortly. Still has to do Misty Woods, though.
Potentially he could be looking for some more health because, you still don't have clean water.
No, but JHobz also has Ultra Defense, so he should be okay on health. The other thing is that without Bash, you commonly have to take a number of damage boosts in the final escape, but Bash is in our arsenal at the moment. JHobz is watching an opening cutscene with this orb. It can be skipped, I think, but maybe JHobz just didn't want to do it. So he's just going to continue heading up, abusing those controller pre-charged wall jumps to try to climb up here as fast as he can. It won't take JHobz very long to reach this map altar, which is guaranteed to be the Sunstone.
Yeah, but even with half ultra defense, there's a lot of things that hurt you in Forlorn. It's very easy to die here.
It is. JHobz might be trying to make a save, but the slimes and the spiders are sort of bullying him a little bit. There he is. JHobz is also going to continue checking a few pickups along the way because they're just so fast. Many of them take less than a second to check.
And he gets another health cell, which he really, really could have used right there.
I very much like the safety save that JHobz just made. If there's the Sunstone. JHobz didn't die, so it was all fine, but it was a nice safety save nonetheless. Smart move by JHobz here as well. Rather than instinctively alt-Ring, he went to the left, which is much faster to reach this teleporter than the one in Glades. Nice awareness. Mapstone 8 Sunstone. That's a seed.
It's kind of a mean thing to do, because the seed was like, here, have all these amazing skills like charge jump and dash at the start, and oh yeah, Mapstone 8. Have fun.
Well, good news is for JHobz is that Sloaters has effectively lost this race because it'll be virtually impossible for him to catch up. Sloaters, as opposed to JHobz, decided to check some mapstones before going into Misty Woods. Check the map like JHobz, also Alt-R. So Sloaters, as I said, still has to go to Misty Woods and still has to check map 8, which he also now knows is definitely the Sunstone. Although, it's worth pointing out Sloaters could have continued down that path. I'm guessing he just didn't realize it immediately, and he's going to have to go back down there again.
To be fair, it is a very rare, very, very rare occasion that you ever have to think about putting every single mapstone pedestal in a seed.
Yeah. Well, JHobz got, I think, a first try door warp, so JHobz is onto the final escape. He has all the skills that he could want. Well, double jump he would want, but besides that, he has pretty much everything that he could want. He'll be able to break barricades using climb, charge jump, and using Charge Flame if he chooses. He has Bash. He doesn't have Clean Water, but he has enough health and Ultra Defense. And JHobz can go for the Grenade Jump at the end. So if all goes well, he will be finishing up quite shortly.
Well, despite it, being a seed where you did have to put all but one map stone in, this turned out to be a relatively fast seed. Anything that's sub 50 minutes with, God forbid, a map stone 8 check, that's pretty crazy.
Well, I mean, it was more important. JHobz took some damage. He is going to have to die here. He doesn't have enough health to survive the Poison Slim, although he might not realize that right away.
You'll find out shortly.
It won't change the results, but of course JHobz doesn't know that. We say this pretty much every seed, but it's probably worth reiterating. Players are not allowed to watch each other because it would be spoilers in a randomizer. So JHobz might be scared. He does know that with that Sunstone on Mapstone 8, that Sloaters is going to be limited in his abilities to clear the seed fast. But even so, JHobz has gone out of his way for a number of checks. We'll have to check with him after the fact as for whether or not he was scared at the end.
And that is the climb tree picked up for Sloaters as he's out-arring and probably going to be making his way back over to Valiant.
Yeah, so let's keep an eye on JHobz over on the left. He made it past the Poison Swim with plenty of health to spare. He'll be going up on the wall trying to get in a particular spot, charge up a charge jump at the highest angle he possibly can, throw a grenade, and jump one frame later. JHobz has had some problems with grenade jumps during this entire run. Hopefully this one doesn't take too many attempts. There it is, no soft block. GG to JHobz.
Congratulations to JHobz. He will be moving on to the next round with a 1-1.
Yes, he most certainly will. Sloaters just took another death on the right side. Sloaters has all 10 skill trees, sort of in a very similar boat to where JHobz was just a little bit ago. So Sloaters is going to be heading to the Forlorn Ruins. This would be a good moment, I think, to mention something that F mentioned. It's a bit of trivia about the randomizer that people might not be aware of. Whenever you have a key on something like Mapstone 8, there's multiple challenges involved. Challenge number 1 is reaching all the mapstones, but challenge number 2 is finding enough of the actual mapstone resources in the world. So there are 9 total altars, but there are actually 11 total mapstones placed throughout the world. The reasoning for that is that, as you can probably imagine, if there were exactly 9 mapstones, then you'd effectively be forced to search the entire world if you didn't naturally find all 9.
Yeah, that'd be a rough time, and part of the reason why it's not that way with this randomizer is the community wanted to try and eliminate as much one-off dumb pickups that you have to scour the entire world for. It's not fun to do in any situation. With that, Sloaters is making his way into Forlorn. I'm very curious where the Forlorn teleporter is in this seed. I would not be surprised if it actually is in Forlorn.
It can be virtually anywhere, and of course it's sort of irrelevant now. In a seed like this where you have the Gumon seal, it doesn't really make any sense to try to search for the Forlorn teleporter, even though finding it would be pretty valuable. But yeah, Sloaters has entered this area. It's kind of nice that both runners found that Gumon seal randomly as early as they did.
And we're going to see some grenade bashing here to make his way up, which is not a bad call here. Some of these jumps are a little tricky when you only have charge jump and no double jump. Yeah,
Sloaters is probably less comfortable traversing the Forlorn Ruins than a lot of other areas because, as we said, it's rare to have to traverse it from the bottom like this. It's rare to even come here. It's rarer to be forced to come here through the bottom entrance without a double jump. The Sloaters got past his early troubles of making it up that wall, made some safety saves to make sure that he wouldn't cost himself a lot of time with the death. Sloaters has had a number of pretty costly deaths this run, and so I do like to see him making additional safety saves where he can. That's kind of what I was talking about. That safety save, if Sloaters hadn't made it, he would have gotten sent back very, very far. What killed Sloaters is the fact that this game features coyote jumping, which means that you're allowed to jump when you're just technically a few frames in midair rather than being forced to jump, on the very last frame or something like that. However, coyote jumps don't work with charge jump. I don't know why, but it's always been that way.
I keep learning new and new things about this game. It's really impressive just how in depth the tricks go for Ori and the Blind Forest.
Yep. Well, Sloaters is going to take another shot this time, staying on solid ground to make sure there's his Sunstone at map 8.
And he too is making the smart choice to go immediately left and use this teleporter.
Yeah, to go to that left teleporter rather than altering back to the Glades TP is a minor time save to be sure. We pointed it out for JHobz though, and I do like that we pointed it out for Sloaters again. In a seed like this, which is so strange, it's so easy to fall into your old habits. You know, kind of focus your brain power on the more challenging aspects of routing.
Yeah, it's so easy to fall into a mind lapse of pickups and Ring reactively and not even like processing everything still.
Well, I don't actually remember. Ozzy, did you see whether Sloaters got Ultra Defense?
Oh, I'm most certainly sure he did.
Okay. Well, if he did, then he'll be pretty much in the same boat as JHobz. If he didn't, I think he has plenty of ability points to do so.
Yeah, this was an extremely abundant ability point seed. I do not see in any way or form that he doesn't have Ultra Defense.
Well, and the reason it matters, like, if you're watching this seed right now, if you're one of our wonderful SG2 viewers, and you're less familiar with Ori, you might be sort of, what's the word I'm looking for? You might be having trouble keeping up with the number of factors these runners have to consider, and the reality is that even for the most experienced random runners on the planet, it can be easy to forget about certain things, and health is one of them. With only 5 health, without Ultra Defense, it is going to be difficult or almost impossible for Sloaters to make it through that poison water since he also doesn't have Stomp. So I hope that he levels up Ultra Defense if he hasn't gotten it already.
All right, time for first try door warp? Nope. Second try door warp?
Reminder that this trick is frame perfect. Second try.
Nice. Yeah, it's... I wish I could always get it second try.
Okay, Chat is coming to our aid again. He has Ultra Defense. First, Chat told us where the water vein was, now they're telling us that he has Ultra. So I think the real MVP here is first JHobz, next Sloaters, next Chat. Does that seem reasonable?
Alright, he's on his way through the final escape. He really can't afford to take any damage along the way here with 5 health, even with Ultra Defense, so...
I think you're right. It's possible he could get damaged maybe once if he has health regen, but he's just going to try to it. Sloaters doesn't have double jump, which would make this particularly free, but he has climb charge jump, which, yep, there he is, charging it up to make sure he stays in the air, but took damage, which means that he has to restart. Sloaters does have feather as well, so he could have used that to stall in the air long enough to grab the projectile. Almost done, though. By the way, we will be interviewing JHobz once Sloaters finished. Hopefully we'll get to interview Sloaters as well. It's always up to the runners to talk, but hopefully we get to talk to both of them. I definitely have some questions.
Yeah, but for now, we're going to see Sloaters making his way through this tricky middle part. Oh! This is a little scary. Please don't. Okay. Oh, thank God you have dash.
I'm surprised he survived that, because there's an invisible, although very audible, Kuro trigger. Sloaters took damage again. I don't think he has enough health to survive that poison swim if he takes that much damage from the fire, even with Ultra Defense. So Sloaters is going to either have to be a little bit more careful or start using the feather once he makes it through that particular barricade.
I will iterate that this is one of those games where it's really, really easy to forget you have something. So something like feather, if you're done like any seeds recently where you've just never had feather, and you could completely forget it that you actually have picked it up.
Well, there we go. Sloaters is through, made it through the S-bend, dipping down into the water. He can bash these fish to gain a little bit of extra speed through abusing his Ultra Defense as well to only take 2.5 damage. A well-placed charge jump gets him out of the Crow spawn. We'll see if Sloaters decides to go for the final grenade jump or to just finish out. Looks like he is going for the grenade jump. Didn't get it first try. Back on the wall. Didn't get it second try either. Because Sloaters despawned Kuro.
Oh!
That's, is that okay or is that a soft walk? I think that's okay.
I think that's okay. As far as I can tell, that's okay.
But I think it's okay. Yeah, so there's that final grenade jump is such a cruel trick at times. If it goes well, it looks very flashy, and you shave off roughly 35 seconds out of this final sequence. If you mess it up, you can soft lock and be forced to restart the final escape. Even if you get it, which Sloaters did, if your positioning is slightly wrong, you can bonk and sort of get trapped in the old cutscene, which is what happened to Sloaters. So he's still fine. He'll still finish out the seed, but it's going to cost him, 35 or so seconds.
Yeah. Regardless, though, it's certainly better than a soft lock where you have to do the escape over again. So with that said, GG the Sloaters. Good race, dude.
Yep, he'll be finishing out shortly. And then we'll pull Hobbs in for an interview, see if we can talk to Sloaters. This would be another good time to tell everyone that this is the final match of week 2 of the Swiss brackets for singles. That means that, after this match, but maybe even like right about now, since we know Hobbs won, new pairings will be generated for round 3, which is both exciting and also terrifying because, good lord, there's a lot of talented players in this tournament.
Yeah. At least I don't have to worry about fighting against Covert Muffin again.
Sloaters finishing out with a final time of 53:36 compared to Hobbs's 44:58. GG to both of them. I'm going to pull in Hobbs in just a moment. I just want to check our SRL chat to see if Sloaters wants to pop in as well. The pairings are generated, actually.
Yep, they're right there.
So Vula posted that in chat. If anyone wants to click on the schedule, you will have more knowledge than Ozzy and I, since we can't quite look at it yet. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and pull in Hobbs right about now. Hey, Hobbs.
Hello.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
First thing I always like to ask is just, what's your impression of the seed overall?
That was awesome. that is like perfectly my kind of seed, because I far prefer playing shards to clues a lot of the time. And when I saw the sunstone on a mapstone clue, it meant that I could just play the seed like a shard seed, because I needed a certain number. I needed at least 8 mapstones no matter what. Or, well, I might need up to 8 mapstones. So I figured, let me just play this like a shard seed until I have 8 mapstones, and then I'll play it like a clue seed.
Yeah, and that certainly ended up working out very well for you, because you knew as soon as you found 8 mapstones that there could be no further that you need to find required.
You'd think that, but I'm dumb. And I did still think that I needed one more every now and then. But
Yeah.
I would remember on and off.
I have another question for you, Hobbs. How difficult was it for you when you got to the bash tree to turn around and not check up
out? Because I found glide in there and bash. That was like the fully deciding factor. When I found glide, I was like, okay, I'm probably leaving at the tree, but I might go up to the next keystone door just to see if I can get bash. And then I found bash, and I was like, all right, I can actually leave.
All right, something I'm very curious on, because we had different thoughts of what was going through your mind, is when you were putting in your 7th mapstone and you thought you had sunstone or something, or we're not entirely sure what your thought process was right then.
I just completely like had one of those random moments where you slip up and just go, oh, okay, the thing I need is on a mapstone altar, but I forgot that the thing I needed was the thing to open Horu. So my thinking was just like, oh, all right, the last thing I need, I can potentially, it's going to be 50-50 between Forlorn and the Horu mapstone altar, and if I go to the Horu one, then I'm right near the end of the game. And I kind of forgot that you need the sunstone to open the...
For what it's worth, Hobbs, on commentary, I did the same thing. I'm like, it can be up to mapstone 9. It's like, wait, no, it can't.
Yeah, so there were times where I remembered that it would only be up to 8 mapstones, but then I would like forget that later on in the seed, so...
Well, I also pulled in Sloaters, by the way, so hi, Sloaters, GG.
Thank you.
Yeah, I asked Hobbs, and I want to ask you the same, just what was your overall impression of the seed before we ask anything more specific?
Honestly, I haven't done like a ton of these, maybe like a dozen or so, but that was probably the most fun I've had in any seed I've played so far.
That's great to hear.
It was so good, dude.
I want to ask, at what point did you both realize that you were going to have to go into Forlorn? We'll start with you, Hobbs. At what point did you realize you had to go into Forlorn through the front door?
So I was thinking about it when all I had left was like misty in terms of trees, and I went down to Lower Valley to put in the Mapstone altar down there. I was thinking about it, I was like, okay, I could leave this altar because I don't have the Forlorn teleporter, so I might have to potentially go into Forlorn. Because I was trying to remember like which Mapstones have I not put in, and it took me a while to remember Grove, but when I did, I was like, oh, I can couple Grove with my trip to Horu and hope that it's on Mapstone 7. So I put in Mapstone 6 down in Lower Valley, and I was like, okay, I'm just gonna gamble that it's on 7, not 8, and that this is the correct routing. And it turns out it would have been the opposite, right? Like I should have gone to Grove and then gone to Valley, but it's a 50-50 at that point.
Yeah. And Sloaters, what about you? Like for your part, you actually went down to the Mapstone along the Forlorn path and then Altarn and then went down to Forlorn. Was that just a simple case of, oh, right, now I need to go to Forlorn?
Yeah, so I've never really been in that situation where like I had to check Mapstones for progression. And like when I saw Sunstone was there like towards the start or whatever, I was thinking like, like I wonder if I know like where all the Mapstones are. And then as I was like going through and I went to the one on the way to Forlorn, I wasn't like checking how many I had, and I was like, like I can't think of any other ones right now other than like Horu, and I was like, oh, there's one in Forlorn. I could have went down there. I was like, well, I'm pretty sure that's the last one, so I guess I'm gonna go back there eventually.
Yeah, it's a very rare situation in Ori Randomizer when all the Mapstones need to be inserted except for Horu.
Well, Sloaters, I have one question for you. Way the heck back at the very beginning of the seed, you had to pause and mess with your resolution. Why was that?
My game was like kind of choppy for some reason. I think it was because I was playing at 1080p, and normally I do 720, but when I was just like not streaming and kind of like playing by myself, I upped it to 1080p, and it seemed to run a lot smoother after I switched it. So I'm pretty sure that's why it was giving me trouble at the start.
Okay.
Well, did it get better after you messed with it?
Yeah.
Good, good. Well, Ozzy, any other questions? Otherwise, I have one more for Hobbs.
All right. My question to JHobz, you currently are now going into the third round, 1-1. How do you feel?
I feel pretty good, although I'm against Ronnie next round apparently, which is oof. He's way got the execution level over me, obviously, by like just a ridiculous margin. But I feel like I kind of have the rando experience edge on him there just a little bit. So I'm really worried about that one. It's gonna be scary.
That's fair. That is the world record holder.
I haven't looked at the pairings yet. I'm real scared. The second we're done here, I'm gonna go look. So my final question for you, Hobbs, and it's important. So think hard before you answer. You won both matches today, right?
Correct. Yes.
What's your secret?
My secret is play Shard Seeds. Because it looked like a Clues match that we were playing, but it was actually a Shards match.
You know what? That's fair. That's fair. Cool. So that'll do it for us, and that will finish out week 2 of Swiss. But of course, we'll have more matches starting probably tomorrow for obvious reasons. People couldn't schedule their matches until this match was done. But yeah, stay tuned. Not tonight, but throughout the week, we'll have a lot more matches. Thank you to Meldon for restreaming this. Thank you to Smashy and I'm Smashy and F, sorry, for helping on Truck. Thanks to you guys, Hobbs and Sloaters, for talking to us.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
And fun talking with you, Ozzy.
Have a good night, ladies and gentlemen. Take care.